What's going on, guys? It's your boy H-Dog, and I'm back here with another video. And I want to talk about what a lot of YouTubers are talking about. The fact that EA said that one of the EA executives says, I think his name is Mike Bibley, who spoke with gamesindustry.biz, spoke over plenty of things. Spoke of the EA Originals program, spoke about how important they are, spoke about subscription services, Google Stadia, streaming, the like. But the main point of the article was about how, when he was quoted saying, I don't understand the perception of why we're the bad guys. And he said this over the course of his 25-year tenure thus far. And I'm someone who actually read the full article and then just go off of that one quote and blow it out of proportion like a lot of other people did. Like, I watched 3 videos and I fucks with these guys. I fucks with Young, yeah. I fucks with Dreamcast guy. And I fucks with Layman Gaming. But it sounds like they just read that quote, that headline, nothing else, not a damn thing else, instead of reading the article, then proceeding to be like, okay, here's what we think. They just read that one quote and ran with it. Now I understand he's been there 25 years, but I would agree that it is kind of silly to be like, okay, it would be kind of silly to think, oh, we're not the bad guys. It really depends, because I think the reason why he's saying that is because he's looking through the lens of EA Originals and of the upcoming Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. He's looking through that lens, and with the fact that that game is single player only, it's third person action game, it's Uncharted like with Metroidvania elements. Along with that, it's gonna be running on Unreal Engine and not Frostbite, excuse me. And then on top of all that, there's the fact that besides it running on Frostbite, that Respawn has creative freedom when it comes to not only this game and the games in their future. They have a lot of creative control over their process of games, what engines to work with. I made a couple of videos talking about any new information that came about Fallen Order. I appreciate y'all if y'all want to go check those out. But yeah, anyway, back on topic. I agree with him in that sense if he's talking about those couple things, but it's just like those couple things will not mitigate all the other stuff that's happened over the years. And it's not like that he's saying that the stuff that happened, closing down studios, firing 350 people, was a good thing. It's just he may not want to talk about it, who knows, whatever. But after I read that article, I'm like, okay, you going through 25 years and trying to understand why there's this negative perception. I mean, well, there's been a history of studios that's been closed down. The most recent one was BioWare Montreal after their first full game. And then on top of that, there's been, like, this year, I think it was this year, 350 people got laid off. On top of that, you recently had one of your spokespeople defending loot boxes and rebranding them as surprise mechanics. There's the whole Battlefront 2 situation, which I was wrong, they haven't gotten better. It's just a plethora of other things, especially if you're somebody who kept up with EA in the mid to late 90s. Then you would kind of understand, okay, It's a lot more shit that they did back then. Um, I would say I ain't even gonna say 90s, early 2000s. Um, I would say yeah, like that's why people are saying y'all the bad guys. Um, it's not because the good things you're doing with EA Originals. It's not that, but it's just a lot of that overshadows it, and that's why people have this negative um, assumption about you guys. But at the same time, I don't think that a couple bad deeds, not a couple bad deeds, I don't think a couple good deeds should mitigate every other bad thing that they've done. But at the same time, I also believe, I don't think that we should let these bad things overshadow the positive things, even though it could be hard for it not to. But at the same time, if you let these things overshadow it, you're not giving the developers a chance. I feel like, oh, it's EA, so I'm not gonna give them a chance. You're not giving developers like the ones who working on Sea of Solitude, which is finna come out tomorrow, or it's probably gonna be out by the time I upload this. You and not just that, but people forget A Way Out was a pretty good game. And you got the upcoming Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which some people are still in denial that there may be microtransactions slidden in, but Vince Zampella himself, the person who's running Respawn, said there will not be any of that in there. And I understand people can say, oh, well, you're going to believe a developer, developers lie. Well, that is true, but Respawn has an incredible track record. That's the difference. Now, along with that, you have, there were some other things that he talked about in the whole article, but I think that if you just let all that overshadow the positive, you're not giving the games, the developers, a chance to breathe. Because it's like, oh, they're going to have microtransactions and this and that. This game's going to be automatic trash. When you're not even giving the games the chance, you're not giving the actual developers a chance. And I know it's hard to separate the developers from publishers, but at the end of the day, you have to separate at some point, depending on who the developer is, of course. You have to separate the developer from publisher when it comes to some point in time. And like case in point with Respawn, and a case in point with the EA Originals program, you just have to. No matter how bad you hate EA, and if you've written off EA completely, I wouldn't blame you. But at the same time, and here's another thing that I can't stand. When any game that they make or publish has microtransactions, people automatically jump on the boycott bandwagon because it has microtransactions and it's going to be automatically bad, and people say, oh, it's the economy's going to be fucked, this ain't going to be right, that ain't going to be right. But at the same time, you got to think about, if you boycott this game, you're doing more harm than good. Because if you think that the game that you're boycotting is not really going to do any good, because at the end of the day, the money that you spend buying this game goes into a developer's pocket. Let's not sit and act like that every bit of the money made off of these games only makes a publisher richer and that's it. The developers get cuts of these games as well, and the money that you spend goes into their pockets, into their families, and all that. And the thing is, another thing that people got to think about is, If that game don't sell well and that studio gets closed down, everybody's gonna be running with the narrative, oh, look how bad and awful EA is, they shut down another studio. And what could be very amusing is it could be some of the same people who ask the question, like, why do they keep shutting down these studios? And let's say for example, they want a studio to get closed down, but then they switch up and say some shit like that. And I know I understand I'm going off on a tangent. The point is, what I've been trying to make is give them a chance. I understand people give them a chance after chance. How many more chances can we give them, right? I understand that, but we can't just act like that. And for the record, if anyone thinks that EA is going to go out of business because of lost stocks, you're crazy. Unless they lose, unless if for some crazy reason EA just goes into a free fall and they go bankrupt overnight, then you're sadly mistaken, because it don't work like that. Paying attention to a stock value isn't nothing. They're not actually losing billions, they're losing billions in value, but not in actual money. But like I was saying, I think that you give these developers a chance. You pull back the EA doom and gloom, shadow, all that. Then you actually give the developers a chance. Then you may have something good on your hands. Now, granted, I did this with Anthem. I gave Anthem a second chance. I mean, not second. I gave Anthem a chance. Gave it a fair shake. I only played the demos and didn't buy the game because, yeah. After that, after everything I wasn't gonna buy, I just wasn't gonna buy it. But I did play the demos, and I mean, it was fun to play. But I feel like I was one of the very few people defending BioWare. But until we found out that most of the problems from Anthem was mainly because of them. But I will say I gave them a fair shot, gave them a fair chance, and they fucked it up drastically. Now, no one can blame majority of those problems on EA. Most of it was on BioWare, and that's it. Now, the only thing you could blame EA for was the engine and the release date. That's it. But hey, you give a dev 7 years to make a game, they expect to see something. But I digress. Like I was saying, if you boycott a game, you kind of at the same time are, you're kind of like telling people that, I mean, if you think boycotting a game can change, I mean, it's not like it can't change anything. It can. We see it with Battlefront 2. But at the same time, you tell people to boycott and people don't buy the game, you risk that hurts the developers for one, and it could turn the dial up in terms of what's the chances of them getting closed down. But I digress. Like I was saying, in the end I kind of get what he was saying, but it's at the same time, don't mitigate the other misdeeds EA has done. At the same time, I think when it comes to certain developers like Respawn, you could kind of peel that veil of uncertainty with their games back, and don't just automatically assume what's going to be in the game when the game ain't even came out. But yeah, in the end, I think that he kind of was looking through those two lenses, the originals program and Respawn, and wasn't looking at the long list of things that they've done. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about EA's comments on them being on them wondering why why people hate them so much. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you want to see more content like this, think about subscribing and tap the notification bell to stay updated on gaming news, reviews, and discussions like this. And also, before I end the video, I would just like to apologize for that GTA 6 leaks video that I did, because it wasn't until after I done uploaded the video that I found out that all those leaks was fake. So yeah, live and learn, I guess. But yeah, with that being said, I'm out. Peace.